Alright, YouTubers, welcome back. GreaseNet86 here. So to continue on with the driveline clunk or clicking when shifting or driving down the road. Now, there's another aspect or component on this driveline here that can cause a clunking or clicking noise when you're shifting or driving down the road. So we already talked about the slip yoke up here at the transfer case and or transmission output shaft, and the U-joint there. So let's migrate on down this drive shaft here to the rear end. So very similar design, and I can actually get a lot closer to talk about and show you what I was showing you up front here. So this cap right here is the universal joint cap. This is the rear differential yoke, and this being your drive shaft. Inside this, if you can see it right in there, that's part of your U-joint. Now this is what's called a U-joint strap, right? If you've seen some of those two-piece drive shafts, it'll look like this on both ends, or even up there at the front at the yoke. The slip yoke. It won't look like this, rather it'll look a lot more like this. So you can't have both, otherwise you wouldn't be able to get the sucker on or off. So anyway, going and talking about that, if you were to grab right here, and like I said, my drive line's real tight with the way I parked. If you were to grab right here and you were to spin, there should be a little bit of play, just a very minimal amount. Reason being is what's called rear end lashing. So same concept as up there in the front with a spline yoke. It's got a pinion gear. All right, so it's a shaft that on one end is cone shaped, and it's got teeth that go in a spiraling direction. Because on the inside here you have your ring gear, which matches up to the side of that, and that's what makes you go. So anyway, there's supposed to be a very minimal amount of movement in there, which allows for the contact points to be made, so you don't have too much torque or too much jolt or what have you whenever you get to going in either forward or reverse. All right, so now when you spin that very minimal, I mean like 1/8 of an inch of play, if that, and you were to spin that drive shaft, or that yoke rather, best way to do it is just completely disconnect the drive shaft. So you undo these U-bolt straps, take these bolts out here, same thing on the other side here, slide it forward towards the transmission. This thing back in will pop down, and you just slide it out, and that slip yoke will come right off. Just lay it on the ground. And then take your hand and grab that yoke and just try to jiggle it left or right and up and down. Counterclockwise or clockwise, or up and down, left and right. If it has that play going clockwise, counterclockwise, and it's within the GM tolerant spec range, then you're good to go. But if it moves up or down, or left to right like this, then your bearing's bad, which is right up in here. It's got a seal and a bearing that's going. So that'll give you a howling noise, a grinding noise, a clunking noise, so on and so forth. All right, the next thing is that backlash, or that lashing that I was talking about. If you're lashing, so on your ring gear on the inside, it's got crush washers. They're stacked, right? It moves your locker, your hub, in and out, left and right, right? And if that spacing, if those crush washers are crushed down too much, now your lashing's off because you have too much play. Solution to that is pop the diff cover off, drain your fluid, right? Take it to a shop, probably have them do it if you don't know what you're doing. But like I said, this is more of a troubleshooting series of videos rather than a mechanical series, right? And then they'll go back in there and replace those shims or crush washers that adjust the spacing of your carrier bearing of your carrier in there, and it'll readjust that lashing. All right, now another thing to tell if it's back here or up front, like I was talking about earlier with that slip yoke band, one of the first components that goes bad on it is come right back here again, disconnect your U-joint straps, slide it forward a little bit, let the rear end hang. Now don't let it touch the ground because you're going to need to move it. So just kind of let it hang down and kind of give it some support. Then try to spin your drive shaft. There should be no movement up front. That sucker should be tight. In fact, it should be way less movement than what you got back here. That's how you know that the inside of your slip yoke is wallowed out and you need to get that new one. All right. So again, hopefully that helps. All right. Grease Nut 86 out.